After 20 years and 4 attempts, we have finally been blessed with a good Fantastic Four movie. So once again, we're back in Marvel Ultimate Alliance to take a look at every iteration of each character in all 3 Ultimate Alliance games. And this is the biggest video in the series so far, because usually I cover just 2 characters in all 3 games, but in this video we'll have double the amount of characters, looking at 12 different designs of the Fantastic Four members and the sole appearance of the Silver Surfer in the first game. Before we start, Doctor Doom is obviously heavily linked with the Fantastic Four, so if you'd like to watch my Robert Downey Jr. video from last year, it's linked below. And I won't bore you with the details now, but if you'd like to have a say on the future of this series, stick around to the end because I'm looking for some help with the next few videos. And I'm hoping that you guys can give me some fantastic ideas.
Say that again?
It's fantastic.
Yes, it is. Guys, I got it. Ready? Yeah.
Fantastic Four!
Let's start with the costumes like always. However, these aren't too exciting and are mainly just different variations on the iconic suits. Mr. Fantastic has the Ultimate look, the original which is a bit less over-designed, New Marvel with the white, and Classic which is similar but has a darker blue. And Sue has the exact same, the Ultimate look, original, New Marvel with the white, and Classic with the darker blue. Johnny also has the Ultimate, and the original, however he also has a modern costume where he's not in the suit, and of course he's got the classic one. First off, I just need to point out that when you change costumes as a thing, he checks if he's still made of rocks and gets sad about it. I didn't know a kids game could be so depressing. Anyway, we've got the modern costume where he's wearing trousers, the original where he's got dunks on and a different texture on the body, Classic with a singlet, and Ultimate with the grippers out. In these videos I do like to keep it as movie accurate as possible, so if we just shuffle them around. Let's start with the Human Torch, who's actually one of my favourite and one of the most powerful characters across all 3 games. He's got a normal basic punch, but he also has a flame powered charge move as his heavy, and as for his actual powers, he's got a flamethrower. This doesn't do a ton of damage, but you can just hold it and stun the enemies. He can also obviously fly through the air and use his powers as he does it, and his best power by far is Inferno. You push the button, the enemies go flying into the air and take a ton of damage. You can generally go through the whole game just spamming this ability, which makes his other AoE fire move feel quite pointless. His other moves are quite similar. Instead of the flamethrower, you've got fireballs, which do a bit more damage but don't stun enemies anymore. There's also a more powerful version of the fireballs which can be charged. These do a bit more damage and then they leave fire on the ground. And finally, for his boosts, he can flame on, which will do contact damage to enemy and power up your basic attack with fire damage. And because I'm solo, you can't see this one that well, but this boost gives fire damage to your teammates and also gives you a basic defense bonus. And his ultimate is just a basic fire attack that hits every enemy. Like I mentioned before, the Human Torch is one of my favourite characters in this game, and I used him for the majority of my hard mode playthrough, simply using his flamethrower and inferno moves to sweep every enemy. He is fantastic. Mr. Fantastic is super interesting too. The first thing I noticed is that his basic attack range is bigger than most of the other characters, but it's not big enough to actually matter and you still need to get super close anyway, but I like what they're going for here. And his heavy attack is similar, with it being a slightly longer leg kick than usual. And the reason his basic attacks aren't that good is because his powers are what you're looking for. This first one is a double punch by extending his arms, and this one actually does more damage if you're hitting a stunned enemy. This is the long range that I was looking for, but it is worth noting it only hits one enemy at the one time. Next up, he's got a windmill move that you can hold down and walk into enemies to attack. I thought this one would be more useful, but it's quite slow, doesn't do too much damage, and most importantly, you can't stun lock the enemies because they'll just randomly break through your attack. But when you do get overwhelmed, you can use this AoE move by swinging your arms to hopefully knock enemies down. Again, this one isn't great, and it just leaves you open to getting hit as you're charging it up, so it's a good thing that his other 2 attacking moves are a lot better. First up we have the pinball, which honestly isn't actually that good because the damage output is small, but you don't get hit and it's just interesting and fun as a move. You dash around the floor, and if you dash into an enemy they take damage, and that is the whole move. But then we get to the overpowered move that you can spam. Mr. Fantastic jumps into the air and slams down. It's fast, does a ton of damage, and it's hard for you to get hit. Fantastic. Finally, his first boost gives him big hands, which increase melee damage and crit chance. And his other boost makes his skin elastic, which means he can now deflect projectiles. For his ultimate, he uses his tech to call down a missile attack. which doesn't actually do much damage, but it does poison them. Now we have Sue Storm, who you obviously wouldn't expect to have special basic attacks, but the sky's the limit for her abilities. First up, she can fire energy projectiles at the enemies, but we ignore that almost instantly for her overpowered attack, Telekinesis. You can use this to pick enemies up and then throw them, which you might remember I used to get the trophy for throwing people off a ledge. But if you just spam the button, you can flick the enemies around, into walls, and into each other to keep them stunned. And if you're quick enough, they don't even get a chance to see you. However, let's quickly go back to the first move. There's a cool little gimmick here where depending on if your stick is pushed forward or back, the beams will be concentrated like a sniper shot, or more spread out like a shotgun. Just like Johnny's fireballs, Sue can shoot out photon blasts at the enemies, but she has another very powerful move, because she can put enemies into these energy fields and they just sit there and take damage until they blow up. You can attack them where they're in there or just let the move do its job. And for her final attacking move, she has this AoE energy one, but honestly it's just not that great and I'd never use it. Just like Mr. Fantastic, she can deflect projectiles, but instead of going elastic, she's got an energy shield. And we saved the best for last. The Invisible Woman can go invisible. The game doesn't have any stealth missions, so this isn't that useful, but when you pair it with the telekinesis, it just makes it even harder for you to get hit. And finally, she has another basic ultimate. It's a big AoE energy explosion that stuns people. But here's the thing. So obviously as a bigger character, his basic attacks have a higher hitbox and do a bit more damage than usual, and his powers are just variations on types of punches. He's got an uppercut, which hits multiple enemies and hits through shields, a thunderclap, which honestly isn't that good because it doesn't hit through shields, but this big slam move does. He's got a boost that decreases damage, and another that greatly decreases melee damage but increases every other type of damage. He's also got a charge attack that does damage when you hit enemies, but honestly I just found this one too hard to control. And finally he's got a big slam AoE attack for his ultimate. Honestly, the Thing feels like the weakest character of the four, and his uppercut move is the only one that I'd actually use. Now before we move on to Ultimate Alliance 2, there's a version of the Silver Surfer in First Steps, so it makes sense that we first look at the Silver Surfer in the first game. So first off, I'm not sure if this was actually intended, but every single one of his costumes is the exact same. On a forum I saw people say it's just because in the comics he doesn't have as many distinct looks as other characters in the game, but surely they could have done something here just to make them slightly different. Now, something quite interesting here is that obviously when I was playing the game for the first time to get the Platinum, I played as every character in the game, but the last thing I did was complete the simulator missions, and you unlock the Silver Surfer by completing the simulator missions, which means this is actually the first time that I've ever played as this character. He's got normal basic attacks, and his charge attacks use a surfboard. Similar to a lot of characters in the game, he's got a beam move that hits multiple enemies, but this one is quite underwhelming. But he can surf around on his board, which does a lot of damage to enemies when you hit them, and it's quite fast so you can use it to dodge attacks. And of course, you can just fly around on it normally, but just so we're clear, the board isn't part of the body. He can also slow down time, which is useful for dodging attacks, and it makes the sim missions super easy because it slows down the actual in-game timer. He's also got an AoE move which is super overpowered because it stuns any enemy it hits, which means you can just spam this one forever. And he's got another AoE move which targets 4 enemies at the one time, and every time you push the attack button, they all take a small amount of damage, but obviously this adds up quickly, and it pushes enemies away. For his final attack, he's got another beam, but this one pierces and knocks down enemies, so it's much more useful than the previous one, and it has a crazy sound effect. I'm glad I went back to play as the Silver Surfer because these moves were definitely worth looking at, and I can see why he's essentially a secret character. I think his heal move could use some work though. Finally, his ultimate is once again just a big AoE move, and it doesn't even kill everyone.
Did you just...
Johnny, stop it.
That's it, Tinkerbell! No, Ben. You wanna fly? Then fly!
In the second game, we only have 2 costumes, and they're basically just the classic original suits, and then a more modern, updated version. First off, Mr. Fantastic still has that slight range boost, but again, it's not enough for it to actually be useful. And since we've got them all together, let's look at their fusions. Reed slams around as Johnny shoots fire, Sue pulls enemies in as Reed jumps on them, and the Thing throws Mr. Fantastic. Johnny heats up a rock that Ben throws, and Johnny shoots fire while Sue deflects it. And finally, Sue puts a ball around Ben as he charges about. For his first power, Mr. Fantastic basically has a worse version of the pinball move than the first game, where he cartwheels into enemies and doesn't do much damage. This move also uses a lot of energy, so you can't spam it as much. Again, similar to the first game, he's got this whirlwind move, but You can't spam or sustain this one either, but to make up for that, it does have a bigger range. He can also slam his fist down, which is one of his more powerful moves, and weirdly his final ability is very similar to his first one, but this time the cartwheel pops enemies up into the air. I feel like you could do so much with Mr. Fantastic, but it almost feels like they ran out of ideas somehow. Now on to the Invisible Woman. Sue blocks attacks using energy, which is kind of given
snatched the fierceness face.
Oh god.
Her basic attacks are imbued with her energy, and telekinesis is back. This is actually almost two moves in one, because you can hold it to shoot out an energy ball, or tap it to pull someone towards you and then throw them away. She has a similar move to the stun from the first game, except this time it hits every enemy around you. It freezes them all in place, so you can just go to town on them. Once the enemies are frozen in place, she can bring down these energy pillars and slam them into the ground. This one uses a surprisingly small amount of energy, so you can just kind of spam it forever. And when it all gets too much, she can of course go invisible and hide away. I think this stun move alone puts Sue into the top tier of characters. Just like before, the Thing's basic attacks are more powerful than usual, and his first power is this big slam, which you can spam. His charge attack is back, which is a lot easier to control, but it stops when you hit the first enemy, which honestly just makes it a bit unsatisfying. But his thunderclap is also back, and this one works a lot better in my opinion. It's still not great, but now it's not bad. And finally, he says to taunt enemies and get their attention. Once again, the Thing feels oddly weak, and the only move I actually like using is the big slam one, which is kind of boring to just use over and over again. Johnny can fly and also use his powers in the air, and first off he's got his fireballs back, which are quite weak, but they're also fast, so you can still do a lot of damage. He can blow himself up to damage anyone around him, but most importantly, his Inferno and Flamethrower moves are back, and they're as good if not better than they were in the last game. The Flamethrower is actually insane in this one, and once again, the Human Torch is probably my favourite character in the whole game.
Look who the insectoids dragged in.
About time you guys got here.
Now, the first family were originally left out of the third game. However, this was made up for the fact that they got their own DLC, and it's the only story-based DLC out of the 3 packs. If you've seen the other videos on this series, you'll know that the costumes in the third game are much harder to unlock than the other two. This game had a lot of post-game content added, which got harder and harder, and because the Fantastic Four were in the final update, some of their skins are locked behind a level 90 plus gauntlet mode. So I don't have these unlocked, but instead I'll show you some screenshots. These aren't the best quality, but you can see we've got a black and blue version, a black and red version from 2014, and the Future Foundation suit. What's interesting is that in game there's actually a 4th skin that is locked, and it was created and put in the game, but the game never actually got the final update to let you unlock it. However, I found a post on Reddit that someone has data mined the game and managed to uncover this forgotten Future Foundation variant. Let's start with the Human Torch again, and you guessed it, I love him in this game. Just like always, he flies, and his first move is this flame charge. Oh dang. His best move is this big explosive fireball. You can just spam it from a few feet away and it blows up to do massive damage. Bear in mind I'm playing on a higher difficulty here, so the damage might not look as good as it actually is. His flamethrower is also back and it's still great, but it's even better this time because it's just his heavy attack and it doesn't even cost any energy. And even his basic attack is quite cool, with him always being able to hit from far away. So yeah, the flame charge is my least favourite move, but if you line it up it can be quite powerful. And his other 2 moves are just big AoE attacks. With this one he flies into the sky and then slams back down, which is super fast, and the other creates a big well of fire which does damage to enemies that get caught in it. He's just such a fast and powerful character and I find him so fun to play. Once again, the Thing has a great base attack with it ending in this charge move, and his heavy is an uppercut which instantly pops up any enemy. Similar to the first game, he's got this move where he pummels the ground and it gets surprisingly fast, and if you can keep it going until the end, it's got this finisher which deals even more damage. He's got this double punch move which I'm guessing is very powerful, but honestly this game is so fast paced that I found it hard to actually get it to hit. With him being a defensive character, he can grab a big boulder as a shield, and when you let go of the button he'll hit any nearby enemies. And just like the previous games, he's got a charge move again, but this one's even less satisfying than the second game. Ben Grimm fans need to rise up, because what happened here? Finally, my prayers have been answered, because Mr. Fantastic now has a lot of range on his base attacks. This is exactly what I wanted. You can just kind of fling your limbs about the arena, and you will hit something. And his heavy is this windmill attack that hits everyone. His power animations are amazing too. With this one, he makes himself taller so he can pummel the ground in front of him. He's got an even more powerful windmill attack as his second power. His pinball move is back and it actually feels a lot more useful than last time. And finally, he's got another windmill move, but on the way around he'll grab an enemy so he can swing them back down. Just on a base level, I have so much fun playing as him, he's fantastic. For the first time ever, Sue Storm can fly. Some of her powers have been combined, because she can shoot energy balls and then the enemy will go into an energy bubble. You might have already seen the NPC Sue do it, but she's got a team buff that protects everyone from attacks. Her invisibility skill has been slightly modified so it now does damage. She'll go invisible as long as you hold down the button, and then when you let go, she'll unleash an attack on the enemy. This game is so fast paced and hectic that stealth isn't really a viable strategy, but if you can make it work then it feels cool, but doesn't do a lot of damage. And her final skill allows her to throw up a wall that knocks enemies back and presumably blocks projectiles from hitting you. And if you hold the button down, you can create more walls that travel further and hit more times. Now finally, let's check out the ultimates. Mr. Fantastic contorts his body into 100 zigzags and then turns into a bouncy ball to hit the remaining enemies. Sue creates a barrier around the enemies and then takes them indoor skydiving. Johnny creates a fire tornado. And just like clockwork, the Things is quite underwhelming because he just throws a big boulder at the enemies. And now we can put them all together and enjoy the Nintendo Switch frame rate. So that was the first family, the Fantastic Four, in all 3 Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. Don't forget to subscribe. But before you go, like I mentioned at the start of the video, I need some help. For the past year, I've been uploading these videos to tie in with the MCU. However, if we look into the future and think about what the next video would be, the next MCU film comes out exactly 1 year from today. So I'll most likely be making a Spider-Man video around July 31st, 2026, which is actually my birthday, and that does mean it's my birthday today, by the way. Then in December, we've got Doomsday, but that's so far away. On the TV show front, we've got Daredevil Season 2 and The Punisher one-off, but I've already done both of them, but maybe I could do the rest of the Defenders or something like that. Wonder Man is meant to be out around December, but he's not in any of these games, and from what I can tell, the only character in Marvel Zombies who I haven't already covered is Kamala Khan, but she only appears once in the 3rd game, so that'll be a very short video. At the end of August, I was planning on doing a Black Panther and Iron Fist video for Eyes of Wakanda, but just a few days ago, the release date got changed, and that show now comes out tomorrow, so I can't do that one. We do have X-Men 97 Season 2 at some point, and other things could get announced, but at the moment, I'm kind of lost on what to do with the series for the next year. So basically, I'm just asking the people out there, if you enjoy this series and want to see it continue, let me know what you think. Is there anything coming up that I've missed that I could make a video for? Are there any weirdo characters that will never be relevant again that you'd like to see? Like, you know, Morbius is in the 3rd game. There's a bunch of other characters in the games that won't ever get a standalone movie or anything like that, so I could put them together. Or should we just leave this series for now until next year when something relevant comes out or Spider-Man comes out? I do have plans for one more video coming up that was actually suggested to me over a year ago, but after that, it's in your hands. Say your piece down below. But I hope you enjoyed this video and have a good one.